So if I disappointed God and disappointed so many people, how do I give up on somebody else?
You have to go back into those wilderness days, those valley days, and express that pain and that trauma that you went through with this generation so that they can understand where you came from and not where you are. I think a lot of men now just want to give that post side of the struggle. And that's not what's going to grab their attention.
And I think if you take what he is saying from a practical standpoint and then add in the truth of the word, I mean, I don't see why you can't reach a generation.
You know who you are, but whose are you? You belong to God. You belong to Jesus. He's the king of all kings, and that is what it is, you know? So once you realize that, once you come to that realization, you'll find out who you are.
Listen, we are in the deep end of this discussion as it relates to becoming fearless, intentional, and transformational African-American men and what it takes. And the heart of this discussion is about becoming what we need to be within the church. And we haven't even touched on that next C, which deals with the community. So let's just stick with this for a minute, because I've been in the book of Judges for 3 months. And for me, where we are fits chapter 2, verse 10. There arose a new generation who knew not God, nor the works he had done for Israel. And to some degree, this generation don't know, but they don't know because they don't want to know. They don't know because the former generation hasn't really taught them anything, shared it with them, discipled them, brought them into it. Why didn't the generation in Judges tell the new generation, that younger generation, what to expect? Why didn't they do a better job of transferring over? Because they were too engaged in receiving the blessing that they did not handle the burden of sharing with the younger people. And I think in many instances, that's where we are. We're too busy trying to get the bag that we're not spending no time with the newer generation, the younger generation, and helping them to understand that you can get the bag and you'll be a fool with the bag, and the bag will only last you a little while, and you'll be back broke again. You know, so I think that as we sit here today, we have the potential of creating a fire where each one reach one, where we share with the next guy. You said, Tyrell shared with you. He told you the dirt of his life, the things he's done, and you connected with that in a way. You are here, Jack, because someone saw something in you that you didn't see in yourself. And Zachary, you are here because I refuse to see you and define you by your behavior. I saw you as my son, who the enemy knew had a gift and was trying to do everything he could to destroy that gift. So no matter what he ever did, oh yeah, it hurt me. It was embarrassing. But I kill a brick for him, because that's my boy, that's my son. So I wasn't gonna throw him away. And I think that it's too easy for us to just throw our children away. We set them aside. I don't want nothing to do with that anymore. You know, disappointed me this time and time. How many times I disappointed God?
Man.
How many times I told God, you get me out of this, I won't do it no more. How many times I said, here, God.
That's real. Here you go again.
And I remember and being in treatment. This is true. I remember being in treatment. And I, at that time, I'm a heroin and cocaine addict, okay? And I'm in treatment because my mama said, Tony, please go get some help. And so I go get some help, and I'm there for 3 days, and she picks me up. You gonna be okay? Yeah, be okay. Okay, well, I'll take you home. You can stay with me till you go. I'll be all right. I don't need you to go. I got somewhere to stay. I went straight to the dope house. After all that time there, I went straight there because I wasn't ready. And my mom was hurt. My aunties were hurt. My grandma, I'll never forget, my aunt told me, said, I can't, when she visited me once in D.C., she said, you had one foot on a banana peel and the other foot in the grave. You know, you were slipping on to the grave. I didn't see it like that. I still thought I had swagger. I have none of that. So if I disappointed God and disappointed so many people, how do I give up on somebody else? I don't have a reason, because God has been long suffering with me, not just on the pre-side of salvation, but even on the post-side of salvation. He's been long suffering. So what do we need to do to help you all from a church perspective to become more engaged, more? What else do we need to do besides mentoring, discipling?
I believe that it starts with just being real. Just putting everything out on the table, just laying it all, putting the chips all in the table, and, you know, being real with this generation. You can't fake it. There's no way you can live and teach just based on your church side of you. You have to go back into those wilderness days, those valley days, and express that pain and that trauma that you went through with this generation so that they can understand where you came from and not where you are. I think a lot of men now just want to give that post side of the struggle, and that's not what's going to grab their attention. You got to show them, you know, the scars. You got to lift your sleeves up and show them those scars that you received from life, and let them know that, you know, it's not always going to be easy. It's going to be difficult, but this is what I did to come to overcome that struggle.
Yeah, I think my answer is the same answer in a different context. I think truth. You know, I think a lot of time we have watered down the truth of God's word in such a way that we don't want to accept it. But the truth is that his word is transformative. And I think if we got back to teaching the truth of his word, most of what we go through is in the Bible. It's a lot of our mess that's already been done in the Bible.
Solomon already did it. He had 1,000 wives, and he still wasn't satisfied.
So I think we have gotten away from teaching the truth and the authenticity, like he said, of the Bible. And I think if you take what he is saying from a practical standpoint and then add in the truth of the word, I don't see why you can't reach a generation.
Yeah, DJ?
I agree with both of them. It's like a mixture of both. Like, you got to be real from the jump. Now you got to, like you said, you got to show them scars. Like, we see what you're doing now, but we don't know how you got there. You just telling us how you is now. We don't know what it took for you to get there. So, you know, you just got to be real. Show them scars. Don't be scared of them. You overcame them for a reason. So that, and then, yeah, like Jack said, man, just
keep it 100.
Just keep it 100.
I was talking to a pastor, and we was talking about some things that he was going through as it relates to, you know, trying to get ahead. He wasn't about sin or nothing. He's just trying to get ahead. And he said, well, you know, you might not understand this because you seem like you always been on top. I looked at him, you know, one of those blue moments. Man, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know me. And I said, you know, when I walked out of that jail the last time,
I picked up cans.
Tell the story, Doc. Tell the story.
That's one of his best stories. He got a lot of, but that's one of the ones that stayed with me.
I picked up cans, brother. You know, and I did. My grandmother also had some pecan trees on her land. My grandmother on my biological father's side had pecan trees. And my desire not to go back to that life, I would climb the tree shake the limbs on the pecan tree till they fall off, and y'all know about this, but we got a crocus sack. You take that crocus sack and fill it up with these pecans and take it down to the co-op, what they call co-op, where farmers take their stuff like that down south. And I would sell them for about a pound, and that's how I ate. Between cans and pecans. That's how I ate. As a matter of fact, the first date I had and that saved life, that's how I afforded to go to the movie. Because I picked up cans that day and pecans that day.
You just hurt somebody. somebody man out there finna get it for that.
He can do that?
Hey, you keep doing this. The pastor picking up cans.
So I think that we have to be true, because you're right. We just give them the image of this side, of the post side of it. They don't see the scar. They look at me and they look at the car or the cars I've driven over the years. They don't know that I picked up cans. This is how I started. It didn't happen overnight, and all that. So we have to be true about that. Let's shift from there for a moment and talk about the man and his relationship within the community. And a lot of what we miss and a lot of what we deal with on the post side of salvation is directly related to what the community has observed of us pre-salvation. It took a long time for those that knew me as Blue in the streets to see me any other way than that. It took years. I went home to Mississippi about 3 years ago, and I saw the guy whose brother opened the door for me to get in that life.
I like how you politically said that. You've been working, doctor.
Can't shut it off.
That's your limitation.
He's not well. But we traveled to New Orleans together. We waited on those ships to come in, and I got out and he looked at me and he said, "Man, you're doing good, but I know you still got some connect. Why don't you just turn me on to one so I can get myself together?" I said, "Man, I don't know nothing about that life." I said, "I ain't been in that world in over 30 years. I don't know about that." And he says, "Man, I know you, Blue. You ain't gave them all up." I said, "Yes, I did."
That ain't my name no more.
So I think his perception hadn't changed since we were jumping on the motorcycle and going to New Orleans. And I think there are people on the post side of our salvation that don't see us any other way than by the mistakes we made pre-salvation, the sin, the hurt, the damage that we created. So it's a harder transition to being a help in the community when everybody's view of you is negative in the community. How do you navigate that? And I'm thinking about you, Zach, and some of the things we talked about, and one discussion we had after we recorded our podcast together, and you phoned me and you said, I think I need to go a little deeper into that. Do you want to do that now?
No. We'll do that.
Okay.
But to answer your question, I do believe that one of the ways to conquer that is consistency.
Okay.
You can't help what people see you as. The only way that you can kind of navigate that is just being consistent in the new life that you're living.
Okay.
They have their own thought process of who you are because of what you've done, but you can't let that distract you. I think that is one of the major ways that the devil tries to detour you off the path that God has for you, is those reminders of who you used to be, what you used to do. But as long as you stay focused on the goal at hand and just show that consistency in, what it is that you're now doing, eventually they got to come to it.
Okay. Jack?
Well, since this is a C curriculum, not just consistency, I think clarity.
Okay.
I think oftentimes when it comes to, presenting our new identity to the community, I think oftentimes we give a skewed view of the new life. I think we double dip. And I think, it's hard to convince a community who have known you one way that you are now a different way when they still see you operating in that old lifestyle or in a lifestyle contrary to what you claim. So I don't think it's just consistency. I think it's consistency, and I think it's clarity.
And clarity as it relates to you having clarity, or what?
You have to have your own clarity,
Okay.
but people have to see the conviction of your clarity. So you can't just, claim that you are no longer this person. You have to show
You
that
got to
you're
show
this
it.
person.
You got to show it.
Yes, sir.
DJ?
I agree. Really, you gotta be real with yourself. You gotta be real with yourself, and like I said earlier, you gotta own it. You gotta own it and be able to allow God to take that burden from you.
Okay.
I feel like once you really give what you've done to Him and not let Him take control of it, I feel like once you really do that, then it's easier for you to be like, this is who I am now, and now y'all about to see it. Like y'all gonna show it. It's gonna show for itself.
And you gotta own that piece too.
Yeah, you gotta own
You
it.
gotta own that piece too. You gotta have that conviction. You gotta have that clarity. Because if you don't own that piece, the shame of what people knows or what the knowledge of what people have about you will draw you back into a shameful disposition, and you won't be fighting for that future that God has for you. And it's a part of the preparation piece. I shared this story earlier in the week with when Albert lost his brother, about what I call what psychology referred to as the wild horse syndrome, and it is a disposition that psychologists detect in humans, and it comes from this. And on the plains in Africa, there is this group of wild horses that run the plain, but there's also this species of bat that will land on those wild horses, and like vampire bats, if you would, they would draw blood from them, not enough to kill them, no harm in it. They're not drinking them dry, just to look like a mosquito on a horse. But the horse's mentality, he runs trying to shake that bat loose from him. And he runs hard, and the bat doesn't just stays there, and he runs so hard, so long, so even after the bat has left, he's still running. To finally, he falls dead on the plain. He dies not from what the bats did.
Self-inflicted.
He dies from the self-inflicted disposition, mental attitude, if you would, of what he anticipates the bat is going to do. He kills himself from the fear of the bat, which is not going to kill him and don't have the capacity to kill him. And I think when we transition to this new life, if we're not careful, we will adapt this wild horse syndrome. Because you find yourself running yourself to death, fearing what other people are going to say. how are they going to see me now? Are they going to believe anything now? It ain't up to them. No more than it was up to the prodigal son coming back home and the dad taking the ring off and giving him a new ring and telling him to cook the best meal in the house, etc. As long as the father is satisfied.
That's all that matters.
It doesn't matter who else doesn't see it or doesn't believe this change. And I think that a lot of guys will not contribute to the community because they fear the memory of the community or what they know or what they've done or what they've seen them do, etc. And if you're not careful, you will adapt this wild horse syndrome and you will never start off on your destiny. You will never get to where God wants you. And I want to close with that because I believe that you guys and those that are listening here today, you have a wonderful opportunity to impact the community. The community needs you in a positive way. The community needs you. Yes, you made some mistakes. Hey, welcome to the Mistake Club. We all have sinned and come short of the glory of God. We've all done something wrong. But the thing that we can do that Satan can't do, we can get up. God gives us the grace to get up and start fresh. His grace is renewed daily. And get back into the thick of the thing, get back into the fight and make a difference. And I guarantee you, if you start that today, your latter days will be more glorious than your former days. But we have to begin with the man's connection with his creator, the man's connection within his castle, that is with his companion, his wife, his children, how he's mentored within the church, and subsequently his impact with the community. I want to thank you all for giving us this time. On behalf of these three brilliant young men with us, anybody like to close out? DJ, I'm going to give you an opportunity to close us out. There's somebody out there looking, listening. What would you say to that DJ out there?
To that DJ out there struggling with your identity, like it was once said on here before, you won't know who you are until you know whose you are. So you have to figure out whose you are. You know who you are, but whose are you? You belong to God. You belong to Jesus. He's the king of all kings, and that is what it is, you know? So once you realize that, once you come to that realization, you'll find out who you are.
Okay, Bishop. I got a couple dollars in here.
That's one thing about this crew, as you can tell. They know when to be serious and they know how to laugh. And I thank you for that. That is powerful. I think this has been a powerful discussion, as have been the previous discussions. Thank you for tuning in with us and sharing your time with us. And I hope you're back with us next week as we begin to go a little deeper in what it takes to be a fearless, intentional, and transformational African-American man. This is Fit Conversations. I'm your host, Anthony Payton. Blessings to you. Shalom.
Shalom.
Man, it's great. Come on, bring out that Hebrew.